Legend of Total War here, and today we're doing a first 20 turn legendary difficulty guide for GROM the Paunch, which is one of the new DLC lords available with the Warden and Paunch DLC. We're going to be covering this on the Eye of the Vortex map. Normally I've done them on the Mortal Empires map before, but this time I thought I'd go Eye of the Vortex. And if 20 turns is not enough for you, I'll be continuing this campaign in a live stream, which I'll start about an hour after this video is released, so that gives you time to watch this video and then come and check out the live stream if 20 turns is not satisfying enough for you. So anyway, let's jump into here, legendary difficulty, and I'll show you how to get a good start in the first 20 turns as GROM the Paunch. Okay, so here we are in a legendary difficulty GROM the Paunch campaign on the Vortex map. Now there's three things that we want to achieve by the end of the first 20 turns. First thing we want to do, which is easy to do, is to take out the Arachnos tribe. However, we need to do a good job of that. Okay, if we do a bad job of it, it's going to set us up poorly for the next ones. So after that, we want to be taking Zoran. Now this is sort of medium difficulty to do. There's two ways to go about it. There's an easy way and a hard way. Both ways will work, and the hard way is technically better, but it just depends on how confident you are at doing that. And I'll go into more detail with that later. And then the third thing that we want to do, which isn't essential but will set us up well, is to destroy the Bowmen of Orion faction. Because if we don't get rid of them, they will annoy us for the entire campaign, and they'll only get stronger as time goes on and get more difficult to take them on. Taking them out early would be best. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is take Grom down to Mount Arachnos and capture the settlement. Before you attack the settlement though, make sure you attach the what's it called, the Troll River Hag into the army. Now this is the agent that is able to increase replenishment up to 20%, so it's by an additional 12%, but their base is 8, so it goes up to 20%. So that's why I said in the Greenskin update video, essentially the Greenskins, their replenishment rate is fixed essentially, because the 20% plus the 8% plus the 10% here, they've got a pretty good replenishment rate here. Even in regions that are essentially red. It's absolutely essential to attach a giant river troll hag in every single one of your armies. They're good spellcasters, good in melee, and they provide good army buffs. They're just a really good hero unit. Anyway, attacking this settlement here, you can fight it manually or auto-resolve it. It's not going to make any difference. Just do whatever you're comfortable with. And I recommend occupying it, but looting and occupying it is viable as well. It's up to you. Okay, so sometimes you'll end up with the barracks, sometimes with nothing really. I don't recommend keeping it. We really need to focus more on money, and you don't need orc units. So over here, build the pile of shiny stuff, and we want to be keeping the goblin toolbox. As for leveling up Grom, the first thing we need to do, of course, is get that campaign movement range. We've got to move pretty fast and hard before the AI build up too quickly. With the giant river troll hag, you could go with replenishment, but the replenishment's not really the issue right now, so I'd recommend going towards making the magic a lot better. We want to try to get to Purple Sun of Xerius as fast as possible, and then also Arcane Conduit. As for recruiting, what we want to grab is 3 Snotling pump wagons. Because of the reduced upkeep cost due to Grom, it's significantly cheaper. Now, in your campaign, you might notice that the upkeep cost of Goblin Archers might be a little bit more expensive than this, normally being around 100. The reason why it's a little bit more cheaper in my campaign is because we kind of got lucky with this particular trait here. It's reducing the upkeep cost of our Goblin and Night Goblin units. Now, if you want to re-roll the campaign to get better traits, I would recommend Disciplined, Knowledgeable, or Mushroom Addicted, but it's not really going to make that big of a difference. The difference is basically between essentially getting 900 gold per turn or 1,000 gold per turn. It's not that big, but it's up to you what you want to do. There's no point doing any diplomacy because no one's going to negotiate with us anyway. You can't trade with anyone because Greenskins don't trade, so don't even bother with this right now. As for big thinking, we want to go faster. We want to be working on this side of the things to begin with, which is going to provide us more campaign-specific abilities. Don't need to be using Grom's Cauldron just yet. We've only got 1 ingredient, so we'll go into that a bit later. Anyway, let's jump into the next turn. So this is definitely something that we want to be doing. And all we need to do is essentially win one more battle. So the next thing we want to do is stand over here. And start recruiting some more goblin archers. Now we could go into encamp stance and also recruiting global. But in doing that, we will be raiding our own region. And while it isn't that big of a deal, you don't need to do it. So I don't recommend doing that this time. But you can if you want to. If you really desperately want to get more troops, getting a few extra goblin archers in global, which we could have done here, but the more troops that we have, the less likely these guys will attack us. If we've only got an army size of 13, it's pretty much guaranteed that they will attack us over the end turn, which is what we want. Okay, as for building here, just want to build this, and probably don't want to upgrade this right now because money is going to be tight. We need to have those reserves. But if you want to build that, you totally can. But I want to show you like the easiest way to go about it. The return on investment on this is not particularly great. We'll worry about that later. And then we'll just move on to the next turn, which I'm expecting them to attack us. Alright, so this is not a difficult fight, but the thing to note in this battle here is because of the way the greenskins now confederate, we actually don't want to do that much damage to this guy's army. Now, I don't care about the spider hatchlings, so annihilating them's fine, but one unit that I absolutely do not want to wipe out is the river trolls, okay? So, this is a tricky battle in that we need to win it, but we also don't want to annihilate his army, so don't run them down afterwards, because we'll confederate him next turn and get everything that he's got. So let's jump in here and fight this battle well, but, you know, not too well. So you want to be putting the goblins in square formations, and make sure you put two on either side of the flanks of the choke point here, because the spider hatchlings have sort of a habit of coming around the side. And what we want to do right at the start is utilize Grom. Grom is actually a really good fighter, which was kind of surprising. He's got a lot of momentum, and because of his regeneration, he's viable in combat for a good portion of the battle. He's actually got really good stats. In fact, he's probably one of the best melee fighter lords that you're going to get as the greenskins now. But the primary thing that we need to be doing here is delaying their archers from arriving to the front line here. Because they start off with archer superiority. We want to take that away from them. We just want their melee units to arrive here. And also, we don't want to gain the attention of the river trolls. So Grom can quite easily take on a whole bunch of, you know, low-tier infantry, no problem. Okay, if he starts taking too much damage, just pull him out, because the general's in there at the moment, and we don't want to kill him, but we can if we have to. Good thing about Grom, he's actually able to attack while moving. Making these spider hatchlings pretty damn stupid to actually chase after him. So it's not going to work for them. Alright, so we want to get rid of these river troll hags. Just don't kill them. That's the most important thing. So once they start to rout, just let them go. Stone trolls are also pretty good for tanking. They got loads of armor. They're just like a good version of trolls now. They're actually quite good. Even on legendary difficulty. And their leadership usually holds up because they're usually winning in combat. Whereas regular trolls just suck. Okay, let them go. We don't ideally want to kill any of them. But you're pretty much not going to be able to get through this battle without killing some of them. And now's the time for Grom to come back and hit them in the rear. When we hit them in the rear, we want to send in this what do they call it? Snotling pump wagons in. To just finish the job. Ideally. Okay, here comes Grom. Just timed this just right. Let's do this. And just try to cause as much of a mass rout as possible. Like I said, we don't want to kill their forces, we just want to beat them. Which can be difficult on Legendary difficulty because they've got higher leadership. And their archers have lagged behind the entire battle, not able to provide support. Just try to keep them. We don't want to kill them, we just want to rout them. Just keep them running away. Just push through, keep them routing. Good thing about the Snotling pump wagons is that they'll recover all of their health as long as none of them actually get killed. Alright, there's the army losses. Don't attack them anymore, just leave them alone. Because all of these troops are essentially ours now. And just end the battle right away. Yeah, so don't care about the spider hatchlings, but that's a decent amount of river trolls still remaining. So that's actually quite good.
Bit scrawny, but they'll do.
So our army's not particularly damaged. We could go with some replenishment, but I'm going to go for money. And now we just got Blacktooth's head in a jar. And we want to form a confederation. And watch all of our money basically disappear. We also just got a new random ingredient. If we have a look here, there should be something to... Yeah, we have to use Grom's Cauldron to cook a recipe. And now I'll explain exactly how this works, because it wasn't that well explained at all in their Let's Play. So, how does Grom's Cauldron work? Now, it says in the mission that you get a random ingredient, but every single time I've done this campaign, I always end up getting this one, which is good, because that's a really important one. So, this is how it works. There are 15 different recipes that you can cook. And these 10 here have 2 ingredients, and these 5 here have 3 ingredients. So, basically, it doesn't matter with these ones here which particular ingredient that you have. It's about the type of ingredient. So, for example, each of them is like... Okay, probably the best way to show this is if I put it in. Okay, so this will make the shroom and offal sausage, right? Which I'm using a beast bits and a spores and shrooms. But in order to make this, I could have used any of the ones in this category and any of the ones in this category. It would have made the same thing. So, the actual effects of the cooking does depend on the ingredients, but also on what you cook. So, no matter which of this combination that I use to make the shroom and offal sausage, it'll always provide the ability Bangers and Smash and Charge Bonus. However, the ingredients that I use will provide these ingredient effects. So, for example, if I didn't use the green spores and instead used the indigo milk caps, instead of having Earn 5 Reputation and Growth All Provinces, I would instead get Hero Action Cost minus 25% and Hero Action Chance plus 10%. So, in that regard, you can mix and match and essentially make the same thing, but get different effects. Also, by unlocking different ingredient slots, you'll be able to put more ingredients in, which allows you to essentially get more effects into it. So, for example, if I still wanted to make this, I could add in additional ingredients in these slots here, because these are the 2 slots that matter. These are the primary slots, right? So let's just say I had some Stunty Ale. I could put it in this slot here to also get that effect from it. And if I had this one here as well, let's just say I want to put in Phoenix Fire, put that in there so I get 4 effects, but I'll still only get this from the shrooms and offal sausage. But here's the thing as well. You can't put 2 of the same type in the same dish. So, for example, I can't put troll meat and lion meat in the same dish. It has to be one from each category, and it's not possible to put in all 5 categories into one dish. Hope that explains it a bit. Anyway, we're going to make this.
Could eat that all day long.
Alright, so we'll get that effect for 15 turns, and also if you're curious as well in terms of the scrap, it always costs 50 scrap to make it, regardless of how many things you use. And when you make another one, it'll override the previous one. So you can only have one effect at the same time. So, for example, this one here earns 5 reputation. If I craft this exact thing every turn, I can use that to push up to get the next war. Making Grom really effective at getting lots of wars going if you keep doing that. There's one in here as well called the... Which one is it? This one here. The Hard Shell Crab. If you can manage to get that quite early on, you can essentially mitigate the amount that it costs, because... every cooking dish costs 50, but you do put that one in every dish, and then it essentially only costs 40. Just saves a little bit. Because scrap is pretty important, but you really want to be focusing on doing a lot of cooking. Alright, this guy's got no movement range, so just get rid of him. Okay. Now for the next phase in what we need to do. We need to take out Karak Zorn. Now, like I mentioned before, there is an easy way and a difficult way to do it. I'll just explain what the difficult way to go about it is. It's definitely possible, and this is more for veteran players, but it's not the easy way to go about it. If you force march Grom down to here, they're not going to declare war on you, and then what you can do is attack them next turn. They'll have a near full stack in there by then, but you still can win the battle because Grom's very strong and these goblins are pretty decent, and especially if this guy comes in to reinforce, you can beat the battle. I fought it twice and was able to beat it twice, but it's not going to be for everyone. So what I'm going to show is the easy way, which will basically mean that we'll get there on turn 5 instead of turn 4, but this is going to be a lot easier. Another important thing to note is that we want to sack Karak Zorn because we want to grab the Stunty Ale ingredient. You really want to try to get as many of these ingredients as soon as possible because it's going to unlock more campaign effects that's coming in, so you really want to get that done. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to regular march down to here, recruit some more goblin archers, and just have him sit in there, get some replenishment. Now we're losing a lot of money at the moment, so we want to get rid of stuff that we don't really need. Because what we want to do is essentially try to ambush them. So we'll put Grom into ambush stance, and this guy over here, force march, whatever, doesn't really matter, but to lure them in. We'll have a 70% chance of ambushing, but, you know, even if it doesn't ambush, we should still get a chance to attack them. As long as, you know, we don't get detected, which we shouldn't. So we're losing a lot of money. We want to merge these goblins that just aren't going to get replenished anyway. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. That way we're only losing 1,258 a turn at the moment. Good, we got the money building here. Just leave that as is. And then let's move on to the next turn. Okay, another thing to note is I probably should have done this last turn, but we want to be putting in the Blacktooth's head in a jar onto the River Trollhag. You can't put it on Grom. It doesn't really matter that I did it this turn instead of last turn. I just forgot about it. But yeah, don't forget to put it in because it doesn't prompt you to do it. Okay, so now we need to plan on how to get rid of Karak Zorn. If we had wanted to do this things the hard way, you can still attack it from here, but we want to sack it. And if we sack it, we won't have enough movement to occupy it as well. So we've sort of already dedicated to the easy way. Anyway, so to do it the easy way, we want to move to about 55% movement left. Stand about there. And then go into ambush stance. They shouldn't detect you, and you've got about a 70% chance of succeeding with the ambush. It shouldn't matter whether or not the ambush succeeds. The whole point, though, is to get them out and come after you. Then, you want to use this guy, just bring him in over here. And go into raid stance, and then declare war. The whole purpose of doing this is to basically separate the army, get rid of it super easily, and then Karak Zorn's a piece of piss. Really easy to take. As for leveling up your settlements, growth is reasonable at the moment. Money's not too bad. If you're going to upgrade any settlement, probably best do Mount Arachnos. So we'll do that. And I still don't want to upgrade this just because we need some of those reserves. You know what? It should be fine. We'll get some loot money from winning the battle here anyway. So maybe I could have done that last turn. Just a little bit cautious with the treasury, that's all. As for technology, really want to be heading towards Healy Mushroom. And let's move on to the next turn. So, ambush failed. Doesn't really matter. So they've attacked Griebit's Blackbock instead. Like I said, doesn't matter if the ambush succeeds or fails. You just need to make sure it doesn't get detected. And then you just auto-resolve it. So that was actually unlucky what happened there. And it's still just fine. We could do replenishment if we want, but I'd much rather get the money. So that there was not ideal. There was a 30% chance of that occurring. But either way, it's all good. And that's really what I want these guys to be more about. Like, basically foolproof plans where no matter what, you know, even if things do get unlucky, because sometimes you are at the mercy of the roll of the dice, that no matter what happens, you're still going to be fine. Okay? Now, we could send him up here to get to the Hag Merchant. That actually would be alright, because we can fight this battle just fine with Grom, but that way he won't get experience, which doesn't really matter that much. If we have a look at Grom, he does need one more unit. What I'm going to do here is merge one of these Snotling pump wagons and transfer in the River Trolls and the Orc Araboys. And then we're going to push him up here to collect that. And then you get a few choices here. So we can purchase a ingredient that we don't already have yet. It'll cook us a dish that hasn't been cooked yet, or it just cooks something random. Don't really recommend doing this because this is actually a really good one. There's the cooking challenge. This one's good for, you know, unlocking a new item slot. But thing to keep in mind here is that you probably want to be doing the cooking challenge once you've unlocked a few more ingredients. Currently, we've only got 2, soon to be 3. And then, if you don't want to do any of that stuff here, you can just get some more scrap. We've got plenty of scrap at the moment. We're okay for money. So I'm going to buy the goldfish, because this is actually one that I'm probably not going to be able to get too easily. And now if we have a look here, I've got access to goldfish. Which, that's really good if you want to use global recruitment. -1 turn and extra obedience. That's a really good one. You kind of need to memorize what each of these do before going to a Hag Merchant with that kind of stuff, because it's possible that they'll offer you one that you've already got, and there's no point doing that. Like, once you've got it, you don't ever lose it. So don't purchase one you've already got. And now, just with Grom's army, now that Karak Zoran's been dealt with, we need to sack and occupy the settlement in order to get Stunty Ale. This is definitely a fight that you should fight manually. Now, every settlement that you go up against, every walled settlement that is, has strengths and weaknesses. Some of them have more weaknesses than strengths, and some of them have more strengths and weaknesses. It's best to attack them from this angle here, because this here is actually a weakness. We don't have any artillery, so we're not going to be able to get rid of the towers, so we're going to need to essentially attack head on. I definitely don't recommend charging the walls with goblin units. Definitely not. We're going to want to break in through the gate. Because we outnumber them so massively, and we're a lot faster than them, send them over there. These guys come around over here. They'll take ages to get in, but that's fine. Then what we want to do is have the goblins stand here, right? And what they can do is, from that angle, shoot up on the walls. We are going to take some damage here. Probably best keep the trolls back. Try to avoid the gunners. As for Grom, we just want to avoid the gunners. The crawlers don't matter too much. Doesn't matter if the goblins get shot, because they just don't matter at all. Just watch out for the thing. Now, we've also got Blacktooth's Conjuration, which gives us a rogue idol for a short amount of time. So yeah, don't forget about that. That's for damn sure. It's very easy to forget about it. In one of my early playthroughs of this, I forgot about it for like half the campaign. I just forgot the item existed. Forgot to attach it. So the guns didn't really get a good chance to shoot. This is why when defending, I don't really bother putting units up on the wall. They don't do a good job. The walls are a huge disadvantage for the defender. See, we got there without any real kills. Because the thing is, these guys here were trying to shoot him. They couldn't do it. And then the goblins got in there and they couldn't shoot him. Just watch out for the guns. So we can cast this at any moment now, but I'm just waiting for the right time, because it can do a little bit of friendly fire when it takes damage. And you can't cast it up on the wall. These guys here will eventually come down off the wall, so just now's not the right time for it. Maybe pop down some Spirit Leech, not a great spell. Or maybe I could actually do Soul Blight. Yeah, I'll do that in a bit. Not right now. Just have them keep shooting. They're not getting great kills, but it's doing something. Alright, here's a good opportunity. Get to attack them. So as a rogue idol takes damage, it bombards units around them. Like bits of rock fall off it. So you kind of don't really want to be there when that occurs. So you kind of want to throw the Rogue Idol in areas where they're going to take damage. It's actually the highest hit point single entity unit in the game now. Are we in through the gate? Yep. Cool. If we go and capture the town square, they'll panic and send more forces over there to try and stop us. And don't forget, I managed to win this siege without this, doing it the hard way. So this siege is definitely possible to do on turn 4. But, you know, I did also get nearly obliterated in the battle as a Pyrrhic victory. This thing's gone. But 131 kills, that's not too bad. You could use that every single battle. This battle's over. So yeah, we want to sack the settlement. That'll give us stunty ale. And also give us a hell of a lot of money. And we'll have enough movement to occupy the settlement as well. Could loot and occupy and force a revolt, but you don't need to. And that's part 2 done by turn 5. Now the rest of this is all just focused around here, and if we can get that done before turn 20, great, then we can focus on Knights of Calidor. These are the 2 main enemies, but I recommend focusing on these first, because like, Knights of Calidor are not quite as big of a threat as the Bowmen of Orion. These guys tend to be a bit more aggressive. We're still at a pretty significant deficit here. If we don't do something quickly, we're either going to run out of money or have to disband some troops. Ideally, we don't want to disband any troops right now. I'm going to bring this guy back to the Lost Plateau. Now, if the River Trollhag Merchant or whatever didn't show up for you, this guy might be here in your campaign, but that's fine because Grom's going to need a little bit of time to rest anyway, so he'll get time to catch up, maybe. Okay, we got a mission to search a ruin, which you can do at Springs of Eternal Life. Don't need to do that right now, okay? What we need to prioritize is getting rid of Orion's camp. They're building up quite quickly. We need to get a good win on them very early on before they get out of control. Their armies early on are going to be pretty trashy, so we don't need to worry about, you know, the quality of their units too much. So what we're going to do is try to lure them into a trap. Alright, so let's just move to about there. And bring him down to here. Our ambush success chance here is only 40%. That doesn't really matter, once again, because the whole point of it is just to get them out here so we can attack them. Go into ambush stance, there's no way they're going to detect us. If we have a look here, they might send an army close by. They might not. But yeah, we're going to declare war. Try to get them to come attack us. Over here, we've got 4 turns until a revolt, but we're pretty close by, and it will always happen at Carrick Zorn, so I don't need to worry about that too much. Okay, they may not necessarily take the bait, and that's fine. Next turn, we just get a little bit closer. Just be very cautious when going up against Orion's camp. We don't want to attack that settlement while there's a huge garrison in there. By looking at the military presence, we can see that they've got 13 units in there. You know, that's a fair amount. You could also go into encamp stance here to get a little bit of extra replenishment and get a bit of money out of them, but I'd rather sneak in. We could attack them this turn, so they would have 23 units versus our 29. Could potentially win that, but that would be difficult. Alright, if they're not getting stronger, let's get stronger ourselves. We'll go into ambush stance there. Come over here, go into encamp stance, and we're going to recruit some more, yeah, goblin archers or regular goblins. What do you reckon? I reckon we'll go with a bit of both. Just, we'll have enough money to get through. They're raiding for a little bit of cash as well, but yeah, we don't want them to detect Grom. We're fairly close to them, so there is a chance that they'll detect us, but we might get lucky, so just luck of the draw with that. They've taken the bait this time. They weren't ambushed, but we've got them. Now, in this kind of odds here, I'd probably want to fight this manually. I reckon Grom's going to be really effective here, because he's not super affected by missiles, just because of the way he moves. And also, we want to pop down the Blacktooth's Conjuration on them before we go into melee, ideally. Because we're not in friendly territory, only the only the main force, the one that actually got attacked, is actually going to recover any casualties over the end turn. We don't want to take excessive damage or else we'll have to fall back. What we could do as well is just waste their ammo. But they're pretty intent on just coming for us. Doesn't matter if we're taking a little bit of damage. The pump wagons are going to be pretty useful here, especially getting rid of their archers. Alright, let's pop down the rogue idol on these war dancers, which should absolutely destroy them. The great thing here as well is that if their archers decide to shoot at... Oh crap. Shoot at the... just try and pull him back. That's a difficult thing when microing two separate armies. No, just fall back here. We don't want to engage with them. Yeah, as I was saying, the great thing about here is that as it takes damage, it's wasting their ammo, but also dishing out more damage to them, unless it breaks. Send Grom in to come and help it, make sure it doesn't break. All right, we need to get in there before it's too late, because he's not going to last much longer. He just needs to get out of there. Okay, there goes the rogue idol. Try to get at those archers. But as long as the general lives, that's all that really matters. He's just there to soak up damage, really. We're never going to be able to actually catch up to those Way Watchers. Now, I would use that Swamp Breath stuff, but the problem with it is it takes time to recharge. It doesn't really do that much damage on Ultra Unit scale, so just ultimately not a great ability for one where I'm just microing pretty hard. There's a lot of things going on. We also want to make sure we absolutely annihilate this army. Best using the pump wagons for that. We don't want any of them getting away. The worst thing that we can do here, I suppose, is like win the battle, but take loads of damage. The whole point of this was to separate their garrison, so we need to actually inflict the damage, which is the hard part because they're hard to catch. Because if we just waste their ammo, they'll get the army loss penalty. Like if these Way Watchers leave the battlefield without us having killed them, that's going to be a big problem. So I'm going to send a pump wagon over there to catch up to them. Actually, no, send Grom. Make sure they get killed. Just keep the goblins chasing after them because they got good missile block. Doesn't matter about their melee infantry, it's all about getting rid of their archers, that's the real danger. Doesn't matter about their general either, he's not important. Probably actually in our best interest to not kill him, but actually damage him. And just make sure that every unit that they've got is down to 10% of their original strength. So for a unit that's got 100, make sure they're down to 10. That makes sure they're wiped out. They're fairly close to the edge, so not a great job against the Way Watchers there. I'll try to actually herd them back into the other side of the map, because we don't want them leaving the battlefield, so play a little bit of herding, because we want them all to get wiped out, because that's by far their strongest unit. They didn't recruit this one, they would have started off with it. Make sure the pump wagons are doing their thing as well. They're good for running enemy units down. Good early game unit, pump wagons, especially for Grom. And the great thing about Grom as well is that he can attack while moving. So we can herd the edge of them over this way and still attack them. But yeah, don't let them get off the map. Because otherwise they're going to get really good replenishment. That's not good. No, no, no. Oh, you bitch. He kicked them off the edge there. Yeah, don't do that. Well, if we take out these other ones here, it's not so bad. Good. Wasn't able to get back there. We've separated him from his main force. He can't run away from us if we decide to attack, which of course we will. So, what I'm going to do here is have Grom stand there, because this area here does tend to soak up your movement quite a bit. And what we want to do is have him make the attack, because he probably won't have enough movement to actually make the attack here straight afterwards. And I want Grom to be the one sacking it. And now we've got ourselves a sack city. Alright, so the odds are good enough to auto-resolve. What level is the settlement anyway? Let me just check. It's level 2. Cool, he got a Seed of Rebirth. But I don't really care about him. So I'm actually going to give that to Grom, since Grom's pretty much always in melee combat. And that's going to give him a essentially double regeneration. Alright, we probably should fight this battle manually, because if we auto-resolve this, some of our units here will probably get wiped out. Okay. Best we don't sit anywhere near the trees. Reinforcements aren't coming from a particularly good location, but that's okay. Mostly just want to keep these guys in reserve here, and we really want to take minimal casualties. So, we're going to use Grom to waste their ammo and just stuff them the fuck about. And eventually they'll just charge at us. As for this guy here, just keep him out of it. Yeah, we're not going to be able to capture these Glade Riders, nor can we outshoot them. But they don't have much ammo, so they're pretty easy to just waste their ammo. And once they're out of ammo, they're goddamn useless. Alright, so they're out of ammo, they're no threat to us now. That's the only unit that could have actually caught Grom. And while that was going on, I think we replenished casualties. So there's more units over here that we should probably waste the ammo, just because they just inflict so much damage with these shots, and they have so little ammo, that wasting their ammo is just super easy to do. We only need to win the battle, we don't need to kill them. You don't have to do it this way, but this is a way to do the battle without taking many casualties. Obviously this is cheese, and if you are lactose intolerant, just don't do it. Alright, now that I've used up all their ammo, we can now bring in the River Troll Hag without worrying about them getting hurt. And pop down Blacktooth's Conjuration. And just watch them get wrecked. We ideally want to use it against the Treeman. Even though it's an anti-infantry unit, doesn't matter. Still does absolute assloads of damage. Nope, he's not interested in the Rogue Idol, he wants to go after Grom. Don't let that happen. Grom's not good against big monsters. Don't worry about those Glade Riders. Grom can attack while moving, but also he can easily beat them in melee. Even though they're large units, he's just a really good fighter. And this will help him out as well. Here, have some swampy shit. And now we've got missile advantage, so once they get over here, it's not going to be a problem. We'll easily win this. But you really want to make use of Grom's regeneration. Have him fight in every battle if you can. The biggest downside though is if you're using single entity dudes, the war progress doesn't go up much at all. Not a huge deal though. Especially if you're not taking damage. Really. See, the River Troll Hag is kind of like Throg, except actually useful. Have the missile units prioritize their most dangerous unit, the Treeman. And that should be the army losses right there. With pretty minimal casualties. Grom took a bit of damage, but he'll be fine. So, we want to sack the city. And now use this as a sack city for a little while. We're not really looking to expand. Taking on Imric early is probably not a good idea. He's a bit stronger than the Wood Elves, and he's had more time to build up now. And the whole purpose of the sack city is just to level up our characters as much as possible during this time, while this is getting developed. It's going to revolt eventually, but we can prevent it by getting a goldfish. Now, not everyone using the goldfish in like this will give us obedience +8. Now, not everybody would have gotten that because I did get quite lucky with the fish merchant, hag merchant, or whatever. But you know, going back over there to deal with the revolt is fine as well. We've got a lot of money which we can invest into our territory. And just put Grom back on ambush stance here. And like I said, just keep using this as a sack city for a while. Now, as for our money here, we don't really need all these units now. But the more units that we have, the less likely these guys will attack us. So maybe we should keep it. We've got the gold in here. We'll get enough money to cover our deficit really soon. Plus, every battle we'll get a bit of extra cash, and we've got a lot to work with here. So I guess we don't really need to disband anything just right this very second. Trying to get towards Lightning Strike over here. And also, as we sack it, we're probably not going to get any more reputation because there's no more hard fighting to be had here. Occupying the settlement's not valuable us at all. So what we want to do is, when we want to finish off the Orion's camp, when somebody else declares war on us, what we want to do is just blow it up. Just be done with it. Which will also give us more reputation. So if you've managed to follow all of this up until now and gotten to this point by turn 9, congratulations, the campaign, as it's a good start. Like, we should be ideally aiming for this by turn 15, ideally. But yeah, all of this time here just means that we're just in a comfortable position. Don't worry about expanding anymore at this point here, because any expansion that we do is just going to be mired by public order problems. This is a great opportunity to level up Grom and Griebit's Black Bog, and just make a little bit of cash, save up some cash, because we're going to be able to upgrade this now. We'll start making money. And over here, we should think about getting a Goblin Big Boss to go and search the ruins over here. This will also make sure this region stays under control. We could build another one over here, but again, I don't really feel like I need to. I'd much rather build growth and just really prioritize getting this developed as quickly as possible. Over here, we should be able to just auto-resolve this with ease. Bit of damage, but we recover that over the end turn. And yeah, it just gives us a little bit of cash. What we want to do with Knights of Calidor, because you definitely will have to go to war with them, is wait for them to expand. They'll eventually capture this settlement over here. They probably will. But yeah, just keeping an eye on them. There's only a small military presence there at the moment, so... But it looks like they've developed walls here as well. Again, we just don't really want that right now, because Grom's just not that high level, and same thing with the River Trollhag. Now that we've got Purple Son of Xerius, that's great, but we also want Arcane Conduit. They're going to be fairly passive and just keep an eye on things, so yeah, just keep an eye on things. If you want to attack it, you totally can. You probably can win. I mean, if we have a look at the strength ranking, it's pretty even. They are a little bit stronger than us. But like I said, I just don't think it's worth it right now. Especially since we've got essentially just a gold mine of experience here. It's just really good for us. It's also generating... The fighting battle actually gave us some reputation. I wasn't expecting it. So if we absolutely wanted to, we could call a war on Kasabar. And ideally, if their strength ranking got to, like, 10, then we can get the biggest trophy if we take it. And we're definitely going to want the Healy Mushrooms. But that's not going to apply while we're in foreign territory, but that's okay. Good, now we're actually making money. Our growth is fine, so I'm going to go with extra public order there. So he's not at war with anyone now. He's captured this settlement here. He's got military presence of 9. But since they captured Antok, now might actually be our best chance to go and capture Kasabar. So, we haven't quite gotten the River Trollhag to Arcane Conduit, but let's face it, he's probably going to declare war on us next. So, let's strike first, or be first struck. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to call a war on him. We're going to use this guy to attack this time because I want him to do the raising. Bye-bye. So they're gone now. Won't be seeing them again. Because what'll happen is if you occupy this settlement, anybody over here will probably declare war on you anyway, and you won't be able to maintain public order. It's not worth anything. Just get it later. Most important thing is just get rid of them. Alright, now we've got access to a war. Now we don't want to just straight up declare war, and we're back into making a deficit, but don't worry about that right now. Now currently, so this isn't going to, shouldn't apply when you guys get the game. Currently, if I call a war, it's going to increase our supply lines, but I believe it's been logged as a bug, and it shouldn't do that when you guys get it. So it's actually going to be a little bit more difficult for me calling a war than it should be for you. So just keep that in mind. Alright, so if he ever comes up this way, which if we get the jump on him, shouldn't, might be a good idea to start thinking about building walls in some of these settlements and also artillery. We can now get the Goblin Big Boss, which I'll recruit up here at Mount Arachnos. Their upkeep cost isn't too bad. I mainly use Goblin Big Bosses for 8. Where did he go? That's weird. I thought I clicked on that one. No big deal. It's just going to take longer to get there. That's actually really weird. That shouldn't have happened. Or maybe they've changed it. Maybe they actually do show up at where the building is now, not just in the province. So I'm gonna bring him back over here. Actually, I'll even force march him. Get a bit of extra public order there, and you can just go into that, and that way he'll get extra replenishment. So I want to keep an eye on this. And then also go over here and attack this. Wait for the right time to strike. Money's not great, but we're okay. Greenskins do have a tendency of running on deficits for a while. Don't want to call the war just yet. It won't cause that much public order problem. Early game, this is fine to do, so I'm going to do that. There's no one there. Now is the right... Oh, they've captured this. Okay. That's a bit of a problem. That means we should strike there first. So what we want to do is just rush back over here before they've had a chance to recover. This guy here just needs to catch up. Or even better still, maybe I'll have him stay here, because we'll only need Grom's army. You just stay there. We're not going to call the war just yet, because it will slow us down. Now this province here is not worth holding on to, so once again I will be blowing it up. Might also be a good idea to cook something, because we've got a fair bit of scrap, and we do need to unlock new recipes in order to essentially finish the campaign. So since I've got the goldfish, that's going to be quite helpful. It'll give us more monies, which we really do need. And this will, you can see here, in order to get this, you just need spores and shrooms and beast bits. So a orange and red will get that. So this one here will unlock something entirely new. Also, you can only make one dish per turn. So this will make a fishy and shroom burger, which will give perfect vigor for Grom, and fishy breath, which is kind of like a breath of wind, you know, ability, like what from the Law of Heavens. Similar sort of effect to that. Now we don't need the reputation, so maybe I shouldn't grab that. Maybe I should grab yeah, we'll grab that instead. Casualty replenishment rate for Grom's army, and also replenishment rate for Goblin units in Grom's army. So that's like 20% for most of his units. Maybe we'll get the Goblin Big Boss here to search the ruin here. You could also get him to damage the walls if you want to launch the attack with this army, but, you know, 12 units versus 14 units, high elf defenses, probably not a good idea. Not right now. We also need to know what we're going to be going up against here, so I want to send the Goblin Big Boss over here. We don't need to do that thing right now. Alright. Don't really need to build this, but it's not bad. It's only 1,000 gold. We've got plenty of it, so that's fine. It's probably not a huge army in there. So they've got 6 units in there, because it's a separate province. So, we could jump over here. And there's Imric. Okay. This army here is not going to be capable of taking Kasabar. We don't need to send the scout over there now. The other army's over here. It'll take some time to get here. Carrickzorn's not super well defended, but we do need to get that mission done. If we have a look here, military presence of 10. That means that they have a full stack at Antok. Antok takes, if you force march, it takes 2 turns to get back here. By regular march, it takes like 3 turns. So once we declare war on them, it's not going to happen for a while. If we have a look at their strength ranking now, rank 25. Okay, time to call the war. So this will probably get us a big trophy. Yeah, the bigger trophy, not the biggest trophy. And we'll do this one for Mork, because we've actually got more missile units than melee units. Gobbo legs. I mean, that's good. I don't need it. Could do a cooking challenge, but I'd say this is pretty early in the campaign, so I think I'll grab the gobbo legs. So now we've got these. So he's going to be building up to 12 units. And how's this one? Okay. Taking out Imric should be an absolute piece of piss. No problem there. Sacking it's not worth it, so we'll just straight up blow it up. Their military presence is no longer there, so they're on their way back. They're coming. But we have time. Okay, so this one here. Just look for whichever one's not a pair. It's this one. Talisman of Protection. Alright, I'll give that to the... I'll give the... Oh, okay, it's already been applied to him. Alright, that's fine. And then we want to send him back over here to breach the gates.
GROM THE PAUNCH.
So he does start off with the dragon, so this was his initial army. So taking this away from him now is going to absolutely cripple him because he can't replace that. Same thing with the dragon princes. But, you know, these are some really strong units. If we lightning strike, it will deprive us of our war forces. Just wondering whether or not we should auto-resolve this or manually fight it. I reckon manually fight it because, honestly, the dragon is going to go down so hard to all of these goblin archers because they're not super well armored and they're a big target. They're kind of slow. I don't think they're going to do well at all. Probably would be a good idea if we wasted as much of their ammo as possible. At least these two units here. They're being quite passive, taking this a defensive position, which is good for us. Because they'll outshoot our archers, and we basically, there's no sense in just letting them kill our troops for free. Probably want the pump wagons to be dealing with this when they come across. But the first thing we want to do is pop down a purple son of Xerius. Oh good, they're all coming over here. Great. Just wait, because I reckon I can get a good one. Right there. Yeah, that's a good one. And then pop that down there to slow them down. Dragon incoming. Cool, bring it in. Because the dragon's going to get ripped to shreds.
Off we go. Going over now. I'll eat you.
Okay, maybe try to get the trolls out of the way. Let's keep it bogged down. I told you the dragon wasn't going to be a problem. Okay, pump wagons, come around over here. There's some spearmen that want to die. Probably best for the most part, just ignore Imric. It's just a lot easier to kill his other forces, because he's not unbreakable. As soon as he routs, he's essentially gone anyway. He's shattered. The army loss penalty has been inflicted. Easy win. Auto-resolve would not have yielded that kind of result. Now, we really don't want this settlement, but by capturing it, when it does revolt, it's only going to be like a base Tomb King revolt. It's possible as well that vampire counts can come back from here, so still highly recommend just raise the settlement. Just not worth risking it. And there's the trait for defeating Imric. Grom will now make his way down here, where their full stack will probably be here in time, and we're probably going to want to try to draw it out, or at least suss it out, see how strong it actually is before we go after attack. We've got 19 turns to occupy it. We've got 19 turns worth of gold. Should be okay. Now, our upkeep's not going to go up as the war increases, because it's about supply lines. We're not actually paying upkeep on these guys. We just have a hidden 30% extra upkeep on all of our forces. So if we have a look at the troops here, you can see that the Snotling pump wagons are a hell of a lot more expensive than they were before. Again, this is something that you shouldn't have to worry about. Hopefully when it goes live in a few days. Alright, now that we've done that, we want to go towards no complaining. Okay, they've arrived here with 18 units at Kassabar. Probably at Kassabar. Let's go have a look. 19 units. Okay. So that army is... Okay, the most dangerous unit in that's going to be the Chariot Chariots. So she's a death wizard. Okay, that's not too bad. But the Purple Son of Xerius would wreck most of these units, if given a good opportunity to do so. If this army here attacks Grom, pretty much guaranteed we'd win. So come down to here. Raid it. I don't want to lure them down here. Not yet. This guy here, actually, do you know what we should... Yeah, just stay put. Because we can force march him over here if we have to launch the attack. Hopefully they do attack us, but I don't think that they will. I think they'll see this as being stronger than their forces. Definitely want to grab this, which shaved off a lot of time that we've got left, but since we're raiding, we got money. Probably going to want to upgrade Karag Zoran here and get walls built there. We're cutting it a little bit tight, but we should be okay. Now, as to whether or not we're going to launch this attack, it just depends on whether or not this succeeds. We've got 62%, and it succeeded, which means we're going to be able to get in there right away. And they didn't come out of force march. Now, they've got 33 units. Well, we've got a lot more than that because we've got war troops coming in. This is going to be a very bloody affair here. Yeah, we're going to have to force march him in there. We probably could beat it just with Grom, because Grom's army is essentially 34 units. And Grom is very strong, and I don't know why they stayed in force march. The settlement here is rank 2. Sacking this is going to be worth 8 grand, but I'd probably just want to loot and occupy, rush over to Antok, and just finish off the Knights of Calidor before they get a chance to build up.
Grom's gonna conquer these kings.
Now, if we lose this battle here, Greebit's Black Bog is dead. The whole army will get wiped out. But I'm pretty confident we're not going to lose. We've created a breach. I don't know exactly where the breach is. There's 2 breaches, which will allow us to just charge into the settlement right away. And also, they're not great at defending their settlements. Anyway, plus the death magic's going to be really handy here. Lightning Strike would be a huge mistake. We've got tons of forces. Alright, so what I want to do here, I actually want to put the War forces, both of them, under AI control. And we'll see how that goes, because I just can't be bothered micromanaging that much stuff. It's a new feature that's coming in as of the patch, which all factions will get access to. They'll have enough forces, they'll easily be able to control all of the walls. But we just want to punch in right through here as quickly as possible. So yeah, they're coming in as AI reinforcements. As an ally. So how's that going? Loads of kills. Very nice. So yeah, that looks like all of our forces actually came onto the battlefield, thanks to AI-controlled reinforcements. Come on, give me that Winds of Magic. This is why we need Arcane Conduit. We're one level away from getting it, though. Grom's not faring too well here. We need to pull him out. But he's bogged them up over here enough so that we can pop in the purple sun and just get ridiculous numbers of kills out of that. Don't really want to keep our forces too close to the Rogue Idol because it's going to eventually decay. And when it does, it's going to cause rocks to fall everywhere. There it goes. It got 47 kills. That's... I've seen it do better, but that's not too bad. Alright, we got some magic. Let's pop it down somewhere. Obviously, it's somewhere we don't want to hit our own units. So casting it there is not a good idea. Maybe over here. Nope, cancel that. That was going to miss. So in case you wonder what I did there, if a spell is mid-casting and you cast a different spell, it'll cancel the original spell. So I casted a cheaper spell, so to, you know, save on a bit of Winds of Magic. Alright, it's not going to be a great cast, but better than nothing, and the battle's just about over anyway. Look at that, trolls that are actually doing a good job. Who would have thought that CA would ever actually make those units? But they have. Trolls that do a good job. Never thought I'd see the day. On legendary difficulty as well. Grom's already recovered to full after losing half his health at the beginning of the battle. Also, Grom's War actually regenerates hit points for all units. Army loss should be activated any moment now. Oh, there we go. Cool, decisive victory. I don't think any units got wiped out. But yeah, bringing the WAR units in as AI reinforcements is really good because, one, I don't care about them if the AI doesn't do a bad job, but having just massive amounts of units just to overwhelm the enemy, more so than ever before, allowed me to tie down so many of their troops and really punch through the right side of their city. Can't see how many troops that they lost. It's fine.
Go!
So the WAR target's been taken. But we have to hold onto it now for 17 turns. Or blow it up if we lose it. But now,
you will pay for your follies.
They're in terrible shape. And we can go and essentially capture the rest of the province. So this over here, don't worry about repairing that. It's just reducing the amount of time it takes to recruit anything in the province, which I'm not going to recruit anyway. I'm not going to recruit any of those units. I'd much rather build money, public order, whatever. So don't need to worry about that. This over here seems fine because we did get extra public order, didn't we? No, we didn't. Yes, we did. Extra obedience +8. Cool. So this is under control here, and we'll get the full bonus from the reputation for the entirety of the war. And when we win here, because it won't happen within the space of this 20 turns, so it'll come in the live stream, we get research rate, extra ammo, and extra missile strength until the next war is over. Also, by leaving this as a ruin, when what's his name? Krokgar comes and occupies it, gives you an indication of when they're actually going to declare war. But yeah, keeping that as a buffer zone, they're probably not going to declare war just yet. But sometimes they will, so just be mindful of that. Alright, they're going to start recruiting really quickly. We can't get there in one turn. We can barely get there in 2 turns, so we're going to have to force march. There's no way they're going to stop us. There's vampire accounts over here. We'll need to take them out as well, because this is a 4-region province. Now, money's obviously still not great, which isn't that big of a deal for greenskins, because you make so much money from, you know, when you've got momentum going. But let's see. I think I'll go for money, and I'll leave this guy here to maintain it, because Grom's army is good enough to beat whatever's here. We don't need to send both armies. But then again, he is missing out on experience. It doesn't matter.
GROM THE PAUNCH!
they'll never raise enough troops. And if we have a look at what they can get, it's only going to be basic units, probably just spearmen. So they're absolutely doomed. This will make sure it doesn't revolt, or if it does revolt, it won't cause... actually, it might be a good idea to cause a revolt. It's got like no movement anyway. That's another thing I've noticed recently as well. When you go in Force March, it tends to borrow movement from the next turn. Sometimes, not always. It might be a bug. I'll have to address that with CA. But I'll just leave him here. Stay there. That'll give me the opportunity to maybe loot this settlement, so we can get some more money. These guys over here, I want them scouting ahead here, because we've beaten them. That's done. Good, we've almost got our finances under control. And once the war ends, we'll end up saving about 1,000 gold anyway. The war's reached its full strength here now. So we're not going to get any more units. We kind of lucked out. We didn't really get very good units in the war. A lot of garbage in there. If you watched my Grimgore live stream the other day, I was actually able to get some lava Arachnarok spiders, but I believe I need to be close to the volcano in order to get them, and I'm not going to wait around for that. Not the end of the world, and we didn't need them at this early stage of the campaign anyway. See how it borrowed movement from the last turn? So we still just end up not being able to get there this turn. So even though we force marched last turn, just wasn't enough. Probably shouldn't have actually force marched, in hindsight. So that gives them more time to build up. But it doesn't matter, it's not enough. They're only able to hire garbage. Did I actually lose money by raiding? I don't understand how I lost money by raiding. That's weird. I don't know why that's happening. So I won't raid then. Just put him on ambush stance for the time being. That way he can improve his chance to get a good trade. Oh, this looks good. And let's move on to the next turn. So Imric's back, but his army's garbage. So it's just not going to matter. Probably could auto-resolve that, but we'd end up taking a lot of damage. So let me just see here. Definitely don't want to put these guys under AI control. So I'm just going to auto-resolve it. It'll be fine. Yeah, a lot of damage done. Could have fought it manually, would have done better, but it's alright, because that's the end of Imric. And we'll loot and occupy it. And that's the end of the Knights of Calidor. Leaving us with no enemies. Oh, well, no local enemies. Alright, now the next thing that we'd want to do, we've only got one turn left really, is sort this out here. Luckily it's just full of zombies. It would be really easy for Grom to handle on his own. This is replenishing at a reasonable rate, so... because that's where this really came in handy. So it's not too bad. And there'll be a revolt here fairly soon. We'll need to stay in the region. I could send him in to possibly come and help. But after we capture that, it will cause a revolt. So he'll need to be here to deal with that. Also, once a war starts, you can't just click, okay, I'm done, and end it. So I'm stuck with this extra upkeep cost. But we're now okay for finances. And that'll be even more okay. And we don't need to build walls here if we don't have any enemies that are going to come over here just yet. But better safe than sorry. This isn't our capital, but it's sort of like our de facto capital. So I'm going to go with safer rather than say go with money. And I'm going to start building the walls here. Okay, yeah, just keep an eye on this. Don't really need to be doing anything. If we want to do these agent actions just to get extra experience for our hero, we can do that, which is what I'm going to do. Because getting these guys leveled up later on in the campaign, blocking enemy armies, Goblin Big Bosses are really great at doing that just because they're a fairly low upkeep hero and they've got a really good chance of success on doing it. So here we are on turn 20. I think this is a super strong start. We've taken out... Look, I had 3 objectives to do by turn 20 and we actually achieved 4. So the 4th objective being, take out Knights of Calidor. So just as a bit of a refresher, first thing you want to do, take out Arachnos, super easy to do. Take out Karak Zorn, medium easy to do. If you do it my way, it's pretty easy. You can do it the hard way, get you there a turn earlier, entirely up to you. You will take more casualties doing that though, so you'll end up needing more downtime before you come over to Orion's camp. Then the third thing you want to do, take them out. We handled that pretty well, I think, but that can be quite a challenging situation if you don't take them out fast enough. And then take out Knights of Calidor. The next thing I'd want to do, which I'll be doing on the live stream, is making my way over to Bagar to smash up these vampire counts. Anyway, that's the 20 turn guide. I don't think that the game is going to change that much between now and launch, so, you know, for the DLC. So I think you'll still be able to apply just the fundamentals behind my thinkings here, and apply this when you get access to it. At the end of the day as well, as long as you get Orion's camp sorted out by turn 20, that's a good start. Although if you can take out the Knights of Calidor as well, that's really a fantastic start. And, you know, in my other playthroughs of this, I wasn't able to do this quite that quickly. In fact, the Knights of Calidor were still existing well into like turn 60, and they were a constant pain in my side. Alright, since we're at the end of the guide here, I'm going to do a little bit of a leveling up guide for Grom as to what skills you probably should get and what ones you maybe can avoid throughout your campaign. So this is what I've done so far. I recommend going through the blue line first, getting to Lightning Strike as fast as possible. Lightning Strike, I didn't use it all in this guide, but there were times, especially later on in the campaign, that I will use it. Definitely recommend reducing upkeep costs because making money can be a bit temperamental with the greenskins, and I don't want to have to disband units when there's slow times just because I'm not making enough money. Getting Renowned and Feared is the next thing I'd be getting, so definitely want to do that. After we've reached rank 12, we want to start going through these. This is definitely good because you need that to get the next one, so that's good. That's good. Extra growth is always good for all provinces. That's definitely good. You're going to be using Grom in combat throughout the entire campaign. His regenerations is super useful, so he can go in battle and essentially come out with loads of kills without even taking any damage, and that'll just make him even better. Chariot Races. You don't really need this, so I don't recommend it. It just depends on whether you want to have chariots and pump wagons in your late game. I personally didn't, but if you want them, grab it. It's no right or wrong answer there. I personally don't recommend it though. Boisterous Shakedown. This just depends on whether or not you want to make more money from this kind of stuff. I didn't get it because, you know, you only get to put 39 points into stuff, and I'd much rather have put more points into red and yellow skills. So I didn't get that, but it's not a bad skill. Roll them over is very good. So what I would recommend is getting both of these two and then roll them over, because what that does, that rattled effect, I'm not going to be able to showcase it because I can't select it, but what it does is melee attack and melee defense -10 for all units that he's in combat with. Super useful in a blob. Down to size, useful if you're going to keep goblin units, which I pretty much did up until like the final battle with Grom. So very useful, but after you switch out the goblins, you know, there's no high tier goblin unit, so it's entirely up to you. Same thing with Goblin Tide, really useful for early game goblin stuff, but you might want to plan ahead, entirely up to you. Coming back, this is again entirely up to you because on legendary difficulty, trying to route enemy units is kind of difficult, especially in the late campaign. So this is only useful at the beginning, and like I've already gotten rid of like the Knights of Calidor, so I'm not going to be fighting any more High Elves until I invade Ulthuan, which is going to be ages away from now, and that's all going to be super high tier units. -7 just isn't going to make that much of a difference. So, not that big of a deal. It also depends on how often you expect Grom to get wounded. Now, in the campaigns that I fought, I didn't get Grom wounded once, but, you know, it happens. So, wound recovery time is good. That's entirely up to you. Missile resistance is absolutely crucial, really good thing. Leadership aura, don't need that, not important. Don't need tunnel boss, and then everything else is pretty generic from with every other lord. So, you know, put the red points into the units that you're going to recruit, and then whatever's left over, put into the yellow skills. Grom is a really good fighter, even if you don't put any points into his yellow skills, but he becomes even better with them, and it's entirely up to you. There's no right or wrong way to go about it, but definitely recommend go blue first, then go with these to get to roll them over as quickly as possible, and then make up your own mind from there. Anyway, that's the end of this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have, come and check out the live stream, which will probably be going right now when you're watching it. And I'll see you next time, fuckers.